A quick new idea daily from the world's greatest TEDx talks. I'm your host, Atossa Leoni, and this is TEDx Shorts. When you turn on the radio, does every pop song sound the same? Colin Morris is a programmer who set out to investigate if pop music is getting more repetitive over time. And today, he shares why it may not be such a bad thing.
Today I'm going to show you how I proved what everyone already knew, that the lyrics of pop songs are getting more and more repetitive. But I also hope to convince you that this is actually a good thing. I wanted to measure repetitiveness in pop songs. I know a repetitive song when I hear one, but it's surprisingly difficult to translate that intuition into an algorithm. There are a lot of reasonable sounding approaches that turn out not to work. For example, counting the number of repeated words. Because it doesn't just matter which words you use, but how you use them. Songs may repeat individual words, but they also repeat phrases, and whole lines, and big chunks of lines. A good measure of repetitiveness needs to account for repetition at multiple scales. The solution to this came from an unlikely place, namely compression algorithms. To measure a song's repetitiveness, I essentially squeezed it into a zip file and measured how much it shrank. The more it compresses, the more repetitive it is. I applied this measurement to songs that charted on the Billboard Hot 100. In general, pop lyrics compress very well. Also, the most repetitive songs are really repetitive. And what is the most repetitive song in the history of the Billboard Hot 100, according to our metric? It turns out to be Around the World by Daft Punk, which gets reduced in size by an astonishing 98% by the compression algorithm. Does this sound like bad news? I was aghast to see that some readers thought that I was one of those people, that I was making a point about the decline of music. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I love repetitive music. One study found that artificially inserting repetitiveness into classical compositions caused listeners to rate them as not just catchier, but as being of higher quality. And the charts reflect this. Structurally, pop songs are snowflakes. And paradoxically, the most repetitive songs are also some of the most diverse looking. This is Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue. It's highly compressible, insanely catchy, and structurally fascinating. One of the song's main hooks, which it jumps into right at the start, just goes la la la, la 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 la. In fact, the lyrics of this song are about 47% la by volume. After introducing that la hook, we get the song's other main hook, which has a few more words, but is still short and sweet. It mostly consists of repetitions of the title phrase, I just can't get you out of my head. Virtually the entire song is built out of these two short, simple hooks. Repetitiveness may be on the rise lately, but it's always been an essential ingredient of music and verse. Poets often repeat the same phrase at the beginning of several lines. The technical term for this is anaphora. When a top 40 song repeats the same short melody on a loop without variation, we might dismiss it as monotonous. But once again, when a respectable artist does it, we have a respectable sounding word for it. We call it an ostinato. And the parallels to poetry are more than superficial. Pop music is just poetry with a beat. Songwriters use repetitive patterns of syllabic stress, just like poets do. You might remember from high school English, Shakespeare's plays were mostly an iambic pentameter, meaning built out of pairs of unstressed syllables followed by stressed. Ba-da, 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 ba-da. It turns out that the Britney Spears classic Baby One More Time is also mostly iambic. The alternation of stressed and unstressed syllables in song is as natural as the alternation of the kick drum and the snare. Also, notice that in the first line, Spears sings loneliness, rather than the normal stress we would use in conversation, loneliness. So we know the song isn't iambic purely by coincidence. She's fighting to adhere to that meter. Shakespeare didn't hew strictly to iambic pentameter. Sometimes, often for deliberate effect, he would replace an iamb, ba-da, with a trochee, the opposite of that, bara, like gentle. Sometimes he would break the flow even more strongly by making an entire line trochaic. Bada, 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 bada. Does that rhythm sound familiar? Well, Brittany does something similar. The penultimate line of the chorus introduces a variation with one trochee and one iamb, and the final line flips the script by being entirely trochaic. It's clever in a few ways. First, the inversion mirrors a shift in the story. Brittany goes from plaintively describing her emotional state to making a demand, and you simply can't start a sentence with "hit me" and not put emphasis on the hit. It's also commercially shrewd. The punchy, contrasting rhythm of that final line makes it memorable, and that final line also happens to be the title of the song. So repetition in music is nothing new. It can be employed with endless variation, and it's inherently enjoyable. And yet, there seems to be a default assumption that pop music is noxious because anything so addictive must be bad for you, and anything with such wide appeal must be dumbed down or without artistic merit. But I want to question those assumptions. Bubblegum pop earworms shouldn't be a guilty pleasure. They're just a pleasure, whether on the surface level as something to sing along to in the car or as an object of deeper investigation. I'm glad that songwriters are honing their techniques to create increasingly catchy and repetitive earworms. So, yeah, music just ain't what it used to be, but maybe it's better.
The TEDx talk you just listened to was recorded at a TEDx event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All TEDx events are independently organized by volunteers who believe in TED's mission of ideas worth spreading. Special thanks to the organizing team at TEDxPenn. Want to listen to more TEDx talks? Explore the entire archive on the TEDx YouTube channel. I'm Atossa Leoni. Thanks for listening, and see you tomorrow.